Hey everyone, Sasha here. Please take a quick look with me at one of our favorite modern topics. People and especially children and smartphones. I would have loved to ignore it like so many other things that clamor for attention. But since A, I'm a father, B, I'm following and trying to understand the whole situation as best as I can, and C, the topic also fits the central theme of my channel here, namely energy in, energy out, and the question of what energy actually is. I consider it as valuable and appropriate. This topic deals with the rather tiresome topic of telephones, children, i.e. little people and social media. What is special about the study I am going to show you is that it sheds light on the first generation that was born directly into this experiment, namely those who are now 18 to 24 years old and in whose lives smartphones, YouTube and Instagram were omnipresent. The study examined individuals from various cultures and language groups. The data comes from the Global Mind project, which has been collecting profiles of nearly 2 million people from 163 countries and 18 languages since 2020. Over 100,000 people aged 18 to 24 were examined. The study itself, an American-Indian study, is called Protecting the Developing Mind in a Digital Age, a Global Policy Imperative. Beyond this study, I will briefly discuss other published findings that could fall within this spectrum and which I also consider very important. I know, of course, that many parents try to keep phone use within healthy limits. This is very difficult because peer pressure and the pull of an ever-growing attention industry works against it. Some manage it better, others are already deep in the mud, either not understanding what is happening to their children and possibly themselves, not wanting to recognize this, or, and yes, I mean this, simply using the time gained when their child is glued to the thing for themselves and the things that need to be done, which then often becomes automatic and a habit. We know that much of this has gotten out of hand, especially regarding our nature, which has evolved over millions of years, what we might call our mind-body complex. We are gaining a better understanding of how we function if we're actively interested in it these days. Well, at least when it comes to media, compromises are often made and exceptions are made more frequently than one would like. The new normal, we could ask? Everything normal, or what was more or less our natural normal for millennia, seems to be just background noise for many children today, while shorts, Instagram and of course games pull them on like giant magnets. Of course, there are huge differences from child to child, among us adults, in different cultures and across the many different human life situations. One of the biggest problems with this is the often neglected responsibility. Everyone who can afford it, at least in most cases, makes time for their children. But often this very time seems to be lacking. No judgment intended, but we see the results far too often these days. I myself am always generally optimistic because I believe in our ability not only to acknowledge our problems, but above all to forge new paths that improve us, that lead us to positive new expressions of our humanity. We really have something special going on. Let's not squander our potential. Where is the golden path, the golden middle way. So now let's turn to the study from July 2025, which was published in the Journal of Human Development and Capabilities. The key findings of the study. The study shows that owning a smartphone before the age of 13 is associated with a global risk of developing certain health significant problems. This is linked to a decline in the mental health of young adults. Again, for those currently aged 18 to 24, this technology has been present since birth. Young women in particular are increasingly experiencing suicidal thoughts, emotional dysregulation, lower self-esteem, and a feeling of detachment from reality. These negative effects are mediated by various factors such as early access to social media, cyberbullying, sleep disturbances, or poor family relationships. A few points on this from the study. Early smartphone ownership leads to a significant decline in the so-called mind health quotient, MHQ, which comprehensively measures mental health. The younger the age at first smartphone use, the greater the impairment of mental health. Significant increase in severe symptoms such as suicidal thoughts and dissociative experiences among those who started using smartphones with the age of 13 or before, especially girls. Negative influences affect self-image, self-esteem, emotional stability, and empathy. All of this is related to what I personally would call or describe as the capacity for love. Being loved, loving, self-love. More identified problems. Early access to social media explains approximately 40% of negative mental and emotional health globally, even leading to physical effects. Up to 70% in English-speaking countries. I wonder why that is. Cyberbullying, poor family relationships, and sleep deprivation are key mediators that multiply these effects. Sexualized online content plays a significant role, especially among young women in English-speaking countries. Everybody OnlyFans, right? It's an unbelievable thought to me. Just look at the numbers. Other factors such as screen time or specific usage patterns could not be accurately recorded in this study, but are important factors when it comes to the wholeness of a person, their general perception of the world, and ultimately natural health on all levels. The study identifies social significance and the need for political action. The increasing availability and use of smartphones and devices like iPads by children under 13 threatens the development of mental health. A purely individual approach, parental or self-regulation, is ineffective due to social pressure and manipulative algorithms. It's not sufficient. The study recommends preventative societal regulation similar to that for alcohol or tobacco. See lobbying and NGOs. Specific policy recommendations. First, compulsory digital education. Teaching genuine media literacy and mental health before granting access to social media. It's crucial that teachers are also trained to do this, not simply to shield children from media. This is a common observation in everyday teaching that there are problems, as a tab with YouTube Shorts might be running in the background unbeknownst to the teacher. Children are very smart. That is a highly feasible action according to this study. Second, strict enforcement of age restrictions. Binding controls and sanctions for technology companies. This is medium feasibility, but would have a high impact. Third, ban on social media access for children under 13 years of age. More effective technical and legal implementations of existing limits. Medium feasibility, high impact. Fourth, gradual limitations for smartphones. Alternative child-friendly devices with limited functions as a replacement. Less feasible, but it would have the highest impact. Early entry into smartphone-based algorithmic controlled digital worlds represent a serious threat for the development and the mental health of young people. Societal and political effective measures are necessary to protect future generations and ensure their abilities for healthy development and social participation. This is the first generation, those currently aged 18 to 24, from whom we have data and concrete perspectives on how this technology can negatively impact us, particularly when society's duty of care fails. Most parents were young in a time when such things didn't exist or when phones weren't yet considered smart. We grew up with it. The effects are often present, even if only subconsciously, and because of conscience coupled with a certain helplessness towards this eats at us in the background, and we often simply shrug it away and give up. Today, a screen and the ability to alleviate boredom, or rather to keep children occupied, are everywhere. Let's have a brief look at boredom, right? Boredom is ultimately the driving force for real creativity. We are taking that away from our children. Every slot is immediately filled with content. True inspiration, in the truest sense of the word, can't seep through. We have now spent 20 years of rather flying blind. Everything was new and exciting, but each of us has also noticed at some point how meaningless hours of swiping and watching shorts, etc. can leave us. In the evenings, many things are often run simultaneously. The TV, smartphones, and maybe the Switch or PlayStation are all on, blazing into our consciousness. The younger our children are, the more they are blank slates when it comes to the allure and impressions of this world. And it is these allurements and impressions that make an impact on them, shaping them into who they later become, informing them and giving them their character. Anyone who studies psychology or the insights of meditation and the associated research knows that the developing character is the sum of the reaction patterns that accumulate since our birth, based on the patterns of our ancestors, the patterns they left us. It's not just grandpa's nose or grandma's hair that are inherited. Our character, which roughly consists of 98% subconscious and 2% conscious awareness, is shaped by our exposure to all sorts of stimuli in life. Whether consciously or unconsciously, we have endorsed things or rejected them. The sum of these reaction patterns is who we are. Our character, my character, and how it came about and comes about is, as you see, one of my favorite topics. To deepening our brief understanding here towards our programmability, let's have a look at an experiment which was first conducted in the 1970s. It's the so-called Blakemore and Cooper experiment. Numerous experiments have shown that, for example, kittens divided into two groups after birth, exposed to either only vertical or only horizontal stimuli in their environment during the first few weeks of life had difficulty perceiving the non-vertical stimuli, or the other way around, in their environment throughout their lives. They are programmed, or rather, they lack the correct programming and perceptual ability, as the Blakemore and Cooper experiment impressively and repeatedly demonstrated. Our children function fundamentally like these kittens, that is, like all living things that grow and learn. We allow them to A. be monotonously bombarded with stimuli because a shot lasts only a maximum of 1 minute, thus imprinting them somewhat as junkies whose happiness hormones slowly atrophy with ever-increasing stimulus thresholds. They learn nothing truly, and we ultimately end up with far more suicidal people who lack a real sense of purpose. See or look at the study. And B, their character is formed as the sum total of these favored or repelled stimuli, and they have thus developed thick, poorly defined, reactive, emotional layers, much like an onion, that precisely because of the first 7 years of their physical imprinting phase in life are almost impossible to dismantle later in life. Another favorite topic of mine. It's about what we are charged with, so to say. Charge, discharge, energy, information, content, whatever you want to call it. Look at it. Attention spans also have declined, approximately to 3 to 7 seconds. Ultimately, all of this leads to my core focus on this channel. We are beings who are alive through what we call charge. You find charge everywhere, in your cells, in the sodium-potassium pump, for example, in your sexuality, which is essential for conception and the prolonging existence of humanity, in your diets, at the gym, at work. Though I could ultimately approach any topic this way. But above all, we charge ourselves mentally and emotionally, and this frantic content isn't always beneficial, talking about social media, screen time, etc. What appears on the screen of my perception, and above all, how? Very important question. A significant part of this answer would obviously be light. We are bombarded with light from all directions, be it through sunlight, which is so healthy for us, everyone knows, or, and this has been happening to an unprecedented degree for the last 20 years, through all kinds of electromagnetic radiation, such as blue light, from the devices we constantly look at. So let's have a look to blue lights, some studies there, and its effects on humans. Light is energy, therefore a quantum of electromagnetic radiation according to current scientific terminology. Recent findings show not only that each of our approximately 28 trillion cells is regulated by light, but also that ultimately it is light that we consume on every level of our existence in order to be alive. Food, sunlight, and yes, love, which flows in the form of tangible energy. But let's take a closer look at this blue light, the cold, white light of the digital revolution and its impact on our bodies. Blue light from screens, smartphones, tablets, LED lamps, etc. suppresses the production of the sleep hormone melatonin, often leading to a disruption of the circadian rhythm and sleep problems. Children's eyes are particularly sensitive because the natural protective function of the lens only matures at around 12 years of age, which is why more blue light can penetrate the eye. Sleep deprivation caused by blue light impairs cognitive functions, emotional control, learning ability, and the so-called immune system. This is particularly problematic for children with learning disabilities, where blue light also negatively affects impulse control, mood, and eating behavior. And yes, even your favorite IKEA uses blue lights, i.e. cool white light, to increase customer flow through the store and to encourage you to buy more impulsively and more quickly. They all do, because the research is clear. Some primary scientific studies. Melatonin suppression by blue light is particularly strong at wavelengths at the 446 to 477 nanometer range, i.e. the blue light spectrum. These studies confirm that blue light significantly inhibits melatonin release, which impairs sleep quality. You find the link down below to that study. Another Harvard study shows that blue light maintains melatonin suppression twice as long as green light, thus shifting circadian rhythms twice as much. The circadian rhythm, by the way, is an internal, approximately 24-hour biological clock that controls the sleep-wake cycle and other bodily functions such as body temperature, blood pressure, and hormone secretion. Furthermore, it is important to consider, for example, the role of melanopsin in retinal ganglion cells, which are particularly sensitive to blue light and responsible for the photic regulation of melatonin secretion. Study link down below. The importance of morning sunlight as a natural signal for synchronization of the circadian rhythm and as a counterpoint to the negative effects of artificial blue light in the evening is identified in all of these studies. Links down below. Furthermore, findings from mitochondrial research. The mitochondrium or the mitochondria is in the middle of your body cell. Just as a little information here. So the findings from mitochondrial research are linked, showing how melatonin, in addition to regulating sleep, also controls cellular processes such as autophagy, which is negatively affected by blue light. Little information: autophagy is a cellular process in which a cell breaks down and recycles its own damaged or superfluous components such as proteins and organelles to obtain new building blocks for energy and cell repair. It's like the garbage mechanism of your cell. You can find all of these links in the description. There are other extremely important components to all of this that should concern us a great deal, or should I say, could concern us. No one has to, right? What is the difference, for example, really the difference between organic and non-organic food, especially for our children? After all, our bodies are built through food and light and love and stuff like this, but let's look at food. Here again, you have the quality difference between what you put in your body and what can be made of it. One of my favorite topics, and you can anticipate a video just on that here on my little channel. Or what does it mean for us and for the much more delicate and usually less damaged, less stressed bodies of children if pulsed electromagnetic radiation exists everywhere, unlike, for example, compared to the 50s and the centuries before? Modems, cell towers, phones, smartwatches, etc. Our bodies are fundamentally electromagnetic, and if a 5G phone or a transmitter transmits within the absorption range of our water molecules, what effect does this truly have on us? Do we even notice how it affects us, or are we, except in extreme cases of sensitivity, more like the frog in slowly burning water, or are we highly adaptable? I mean, there are big questions and even bigger insights of this, and it's not only about the penetration ability of these frequencies in our body. It's a wider picture. You could ask, how can a healthy mind exist or emerge in a body strained on many levels? We don't see many of these levels and influences and therefore give them little thought. Daily life takes over and we need to rest. Everybody needs to rest, in particular when you have a busy job and you are a parent. It's a weird but kind of obvious self-perpetuating cycle, which can lead us to a rather, let's call it blindness towards these things. This study from July 2025 and the others I have touched upon highlight immensely important aspects of how these influences, especially during the formative years of youth, can have real and far-reaching consequences for our children forever. Sure, again, we adapt. That's true. We are adaptable. But what do we lose in terms of our humanity, health, and abilities as a result? In such an unbalanced and subtly increasingly stressed environment, disturbing concepts and ideologies can flourish. Since the basic conditions are not there, the basic conditions to think critically and feel peacefully, they are and can be permanently disrupted. This is quite a reason why our world also looks rather neurotic. No pills or punishments will help. The only thing that truly helps us as parents or simply human beings is to make us resilient and strong ourselves, and to demonstrate this in every moment we can. Not to take the path of least resistance, to simply park our kids in their media time, however long we deem this to be healthy or what we are used to. It's about our education towards these things, our ability to be with our kids, to share true human moments without reaching or looking at our phones, mostly even unconsciously, every other minute. It's about really our ability to stand what we might call boredom, or simply calm moments with each other where nothing has to happen, where no sensation has to arise, where no distraction has to go on, to be with each other. We can all work on that, and I speak from experience. I'm a busy person, and to be in the moment takes quite something, right? So we are all busy, and yet the sum of our decisions signals to life, to the greater universe if you want, whether we want to be in a constant rush, caught up in stress, always passing by, or in the present moment. If we want to be, or have at least this sincere attempt for a genuine connection with life and with the people in our lives. What else is truly important? We probably only realize that at the end. Then humans usually realize what was really important. True quality of life depends on these decisions. For everyone, adults, and especially for our children. We could now discuss what the scientific findings of quantum physics mean regarding measurement, or in our human context, attention and focus. However, I just leave it at this saying: where attention flows, growth occurs. Or where attention flows, things grow. both positive and negative. Although we also know scientifically that the positive is roughly 10 times stronger. Favorite topic of mine. Reclaim your attention. Examine how you yourself are programmed, whatever that means to you, and recognize how much your children are already clinging to one or another attention hook with a delicious sugar coating. And hey, we are all in the same boat, facing the same challenges, and ultimately, only together we can create the direction and shape of the future that we identify as the best scenario for our humanity and our potential. If things haven't gone so well so far, even though we made it up till here, there are always chances and ways to do things differently in the now. If you fall off your horse 7 times, you just have to get back on it 8 times. Sometimes it's so easy. So, love your children. Let's learn how to really do that and what this truly means. Please, if you want, support my work. The links are also in the description, as well as all the other links to the study and to the other studies. Thanks for your attention. Namaste.